Let's make something beautiful today. I am so excited to do this with you today. I've had this idea in my mind probably 6 or 8 months, and time after time I failed at trying to get this, what would you say this is? Like a little bundle? It kind of looks like a part of a basket or a bundle of rope or something. I'm not sure, but again, it's that wire laid next to wire, very simple, kind of modern look that I seem to gravitate towards. And I wanted to achieve this, and I have finally figured out how to do it. And now I get to share it with you. And as you saw in the post from yesterday, it uses a very weird thing. Bamboo shish kebab skewers, because the issue was that every time I would get this little bundle, this outer portion, and it would be like all nice and cute, but as soon as I went to squeeze it down, it would just collapse on itself. It wouldn't maintain these outer loops. And the answer to the problem was the skewers. So I'm going to go over real quickly what you're going to want to get out, what you're going to need, and let's get started right away. We're going to be using all the basics for this tutorial. One little extra, I did find for some reason that bent nose pliers really worked well. And this is also very key because we're not really going to be using this. We're going to be using right here. This is what's going to take the little links and really conform them on all sides. Of course, keep your ruler and your filer handy. Two little special things you'll need is the bamboo skewers. Now you can find these in dollar stores, Walmart, they're everywhere. I don't know how many shish kebabs the stores think that we're making all the time, but these are everywhere. So this is going to be super easy to find, and they're only a couple of bucks. And the thing that I'm using, there's a couple options here. I'm using a ring clamp to hold them, but you could use kind of like a rubber tipped clamp that, you know, for your garage or whatever, or if you have a vise, but not everybody has that. Not everybody has one of these, but a really firm clamp that will hold these nice and firm. You might ask, well, why aren't you just using a thick gauge wire to do that? Because I don't want any bending. I want to keep this nice and firm. It needs to hold its shape. So that's why after a lot of failure, it ended up that this was the winner. So let's get set up and get going. I forgot to mention what wire we're using. Just a good, simple 20 gauge. Is going to take us through this link. And if you want to stick around to when I do the clasp, I think I use 16 gauge for that. And just a simple pre-warning, these links do take some time to make. You're going to need, I found about 15 minutes for each link. It is labor intensive, but I think the result is so worth it. We're going to pull out 12 inches. I have wiped down my wire, and I'm just going to cut off just a rough 12 inches here. This is going to take us through the wraps going this way, and also that's encircling it. 12 inches for one link. All right, this is where your clamp or your ring clamp, maybe your vise are going to come in handy. I did trim these down so that it fits inside of here with, you know, because it runs into this little brace here in the middle. So I did trim them down, get them lined up. Something like this, sticking out, you know, inch or two from the end of your clamp. So it's nice and sturdy. It's not going to bend on you. You're not going to run the risk of this breaking. And what I do is I take this 12 inches of 20 gauge and I just lay it across the end here. You want the pointy end sticking out, and I will explain why that is handy in a little bit. And I just leave a little tail here just to kind of hold. And we're just going to start wrapping. But carefully, because we want these wraps to line up. And I do keep some pliers. I think this is why this came in handy, because I could just come in and I'm not getting in the way of everything going on here, and just kind of pinch that shut around the bamboo skewers here. And moving my thumb out of the way, gonna press that down. And I'm doing 4 of these wraps here. And as you're going, just make sure that everything is laying next to each other, nice and tight. We don't want any wonky wires here. Now I've got 4 on what will be the front sides. I'm going to just go ahead and wrap this one around to the back and this little tail as well. Now we should have something like this. So now the next step is we've got to remove the 2 center skewers. So I just take some chain nose pliers, bent nose, whatever, and these are going to slip out. And then we are left with these 2 outer ones. And this was where I was struggling with when I was trying to do it before, because I would go to pinch down the center because I kind of want like a bow tie look. And I would pinch down the center and all the rest of these outer corners would just collapse in on themselves. So the skewers is what's holding this open. And I'm going to bring this closer, a little bit closer to where it starts getting to this pointy end. Just hold that there, nothing too fancy. Take some chain nose pliers, very slender chain nose pliers, and right down the center of those skewers, nice and evenly, and we're just going to press down, squeeze all that together. I will also let you know this is just going to take some practice. The first several that I did, well, because I was still working it out too. Like, what in the world is that, Carrie? But I finally worked it out, and I'm hoping that I've got these steps for you that you can follow and say, yeah, I did that, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And this is the reason why we're keeping the pointy ends out here, because we've clamped it down. It is pretty tight around the bamboo, but once you kind of just guide it to the end, and you might have to use some type of chain nose pliers, just very gently get it to where it starts to the pointy end, and then you can just slide it off. Go ahead and trim this long end. This is going to become the part that wraps around the center here. First, we have to trim these little ends. And I do like to trim right here, and I'm making sure this flush side is towards the piece here. And I'm kind of going at a 45-degree angle as well. It doesn't need to be like a 90-degree flush. The more you can get it kind of at a 45-degree, the better. Turn it so you can get to the other one in a comfortable way, whatever which way is comfortable for you. And we're going to trim off this one. Get your file or whatever you like to use to smooth things down. Just smooth down the profile of the snipped ends. It does like to stick up a little bit, and this just smooths out the end. It's going to be covered anyway, but I do like to smooth it out as much as I can. It'll help give you the best product that you can get. Now it looks a little off, right? It's a little leaning to the side. It's a little cattywampus. It's not actually too bad. Some of them that I did were really like this, but when you start to get these outer wraps on here, it really just comes together. So for this part, I like to use another little bamboo. I just pick one of them up and I do the same thing. I put it right through that little loop, and this just gives you something to hold, because if you're trying to do this wrap, you're like, this tiny little thing, I think it's about a ½ inch. It's just near impossible to hold on to and get it nice. So your little bamboo skewer is going to come in handy again, and we're just going to hold it there. We're going to take, this is about 5 or 6 inches left over. Let's see. Yeah, you're going to be left about 6 inches left over for this wrapping. This one needs a little bit longer tail on it, and this is just so that once we wrap to the right as far as we can, we'll have a little bit left over for the left side just to fill in any gaps. You know, the one thing I did, I forgot to mention, I gave it a little head start by going ahead and giving it a pre-bend. Long end on the right side. I'm using my dominant hand, and we're going to making the wraps go to the right. So make sure you get that long end on the right and just slide it over this little bundle. Let's just call it a bundle. Press that down, get it going, and try to keep these wraps as parallel to this bamboo as you can. It's going to be a little fiddly, but once you kind of get it going, it'll start lining up. And you can take your chain nose pliers as you're going and just really help it stay in that line. I think I need to come from this side and just pinch it in a little bit more, make that loop a little tighter. Now you are free to do what you want, but I seem to like 4 of these wraps the long ways and then 5 bundling it together. Now that is just kind of what I liked. You are definitely free. If you're like, no, I want more wraps, or I don't want so many. The main thing is we want to cover up the little ends that we cut. So I'm thinking 5 works really well. So I've got 4, and this is why I'm saying you wanted a little bit longer tail, because now I can come back on this side and fill in. Say, I don't know, you know how sometimes you'll do 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, and then all of a sudden it's not lined up properly, or it looks weird. This just gives you a little wiggle room to fill in any gaps. So I'm going to put 1 more on this side. I think this side is just a little bit more open. So, and then just bring these tails to the side. That's going to be your underneath. I don't have to do too much of this right now, because this is when we're going to use the bail pliers. Is really going to come in handy to tighten this up and really finish it off. You see how that little pointy end just made it so easy just to pull that off. Now let's go ahead and trim these ends. You know what this is great here for? You can save that and make your little ear wire and make a couple little earrings to go with it. Perfect. These little pieces do not go to waste, because I save everything, and this is a perfect little piece of wire to make an ear wire with. All right, we've got our little bow tie here, a bundle. I'm not sure really what this shape is. So this little area is what's really going to help finish off this piece. So take your link and just slide it down in there, and very gently, I just start bringing it in, pinching it in, and turning on all sides. Very gently. If you just go in there and you slam it, you know, you just grip it, you will collapse the whole thing. You will ruin all that you just spent all your time making. But this just really, I found, was a great little tool to help line everything up, make it all nice and compact, and finish things off. Isn't that just so sweet? adorable. So many things you can do with this. Leave it as a link for your bracelets and necklaces, or I made just a single one. Look how simple this is. You could put a bead in this jump ring. Because of this nice loop, you've got options to hang things off of it. You could turn it this way in some way. Somehow, some way you could have it going this way. I might have to go in that direction, see what I could have. What can I do with it hanging this way in earrings? So many options, and I love exploring them with you. And you can come back if you feel like maybe the bail pliers didn't quite get it, you know, in specific little tiny areas. You can always come back in with your chain nose. Let's run through it one more time. I went ahead and cut another piece of 12 inches of this 20 gauge. Let's get reset up. I'm going to take this wedge out and reset up my bamboo sticks. Get them back in there. Let's do this one more time and see if I run into any other issues that I can show you how to work around. I never know when I get ready to do a tutorial what kind of issues I'm going to run into, but let's see if I run into anything and see what we do to fix it or overcome it. Again, just pinching down that corner before I wrap it around. It just gives you a better end result. With each wrap, making sure that it is where you want it and that is laying down nicely. Around the back. On our third wrap. And one more for 4. Now what this looks like with 5, if you went and did more, I don't really know. How it would behave, I don't know. But it's always fun to experiment if you want yours a little thicker. I just like the size. It just looks good to me, so I kept it. Let me finish that off, wrap it around to the back, bring this little tail around. I want this together just a little bit more. So I'm just going to pinch that together. Give it a little wiggle. I don't know why the wiggle helps, but it helps, okay? And now, I'm going to go ahead and trim this now. Saving that for our wrap. And then let's pull out these center bamboo skewers. Now, I got to thinking just now, if you're using a vise or one of those rubber clamps, this might not be as easy. It's easy for me because it's sitting up against this, like, what's that stuff called? This pleather, fake leather. And so it's sliding out. So you might have to take everything out, pull out your skewers, and then replace it. But it's gonna remember. Your wire will be just fine. Just stick it back in there so that it's sitting tight up in these little corners. Bring it towards the end where it starts to the pointy end of your skewers. Grab your thinnest chain nose pliers that you have. You could do round nose too. Get it in the middle and then just pinch. If anything comes open on the sides, you can just pinch it back down together. Again, the same thing will happen when we go to put the center wraps on. It'll all start to come together, especially when we use the bail pliers. So don't worry about that too much. Let's go ahead and slide that off. Now see, this one's a little more cattywampus than the first one, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and trim these ends. Smooth them out. Now we're going to pick up one of our little skewers again, just to help us hold. Oh, I still forgot to pre-bend this. I'm just going to give, what is this, about 2 or 3 inches. You have plenty of wire to work with here, so don't worry too much about that. It can be a little fiddly, but just hold on because you're going to get it. Slide that on there and then pinch down on it, making sure my long end is going to the right, because that's the side that I want to start building first with this long end. Making sure that the wire is not like that. We wanted to keep it pretty parallel with the skewer here. You see how I just transitioned over to holding the tail and the end of the skewer, so then I could come in underneath and press it down. Little tips like that are just so helpful in being successful. Sometimes it's just a matter of how you move your hands. Makes the biggest difference. And remember, I'm going for 5 wraps. I'm going to see how many work on this right side before I need to fill in on the left. Let me try some on the left here and see how we're doing. The goal is just get 5 wraps centered in the middle of this little bow tie. Oh my goodness, that 4 is so nice and right in the middle, isn't it? But I still want to do 5 to keep everything consistent. I'm thinking it needs the one on the left. All right. That works. And if, say, yours does get out, it's not quite centered, this is still movable, where you could maybe just go like that or brace against the skewer and push it over and get it centered. So at this point, we can just take this off the skewer, and I'm going to try to actually trim these on the correct side. I don't know if you noticed that, but the last one, I didn't trim them on both on the bottom side. I don't know what I was doing. I'm just doing a little pre-straightening before we do the bail pliers. Okay, let me actually trim on the bottom side this time. I'm going to tuck that in a little bit. The other thing I'm going to do once I get all the links made is that I will get my Dremel out with the radial disc and really smooth this out. Where are they? We're going to get these out with my Dremel and really smooth out any kind of shapes or bump outs or something that's a little thick in an area and I want it to be a little smoother or lay down a little flatter. Those things are so fantastic to really finish off something. See how that's like a little, it might be a little bumpy, and even if I go in here and I try to get it, it won't lay. You know what I'm saying? You can come back with these and just smooth out any kind of areas that are a little thick or a little just not laying down the way you want it, and definitely finish off these little edges so that they're not sharp. I mean, is that adorable? I don't know what it is about it, but I just love the wires laying next to each other. All right, let's get our bail pliers out and just really finish this off, tighten everything down and smooth things down. I'm very gently pressing. And we're just going to turn on all sides. You can also come in there and just with your round nose and anything that's kind of misshapen, that'll help as well. Use every tool if you need to. You know, the goal is something that looks like this, and if you have to use all your tools, and use them. I mean, that's just adorable. It makes me happy when I look at it. Just so sweet and so cute. And I'm so glad I got to share it with you. Let's make a little clasp. Let's say if you are going to make the bracelet or the necklace, and say you've done like me, and you just got some pre-made jump rings. These I got off Amazon. I'll have them linked down below. They come in a pack with a bunch of different millimeter sizes. I think maybe 6 millimeter was the smallest, and it went up to 10. Just a bunch of sizes there for you to choose from. So I chose these 9 millimeter just to really accent this look. It looks nautical to me. I just really loved it with the ring. So when I went to go do the clasp, let's say you don't use these big jump rings. You want something smaller. You really want the links to shine. Whatever you make this loop, make it the same size as the jump ring that you chose. And then it's almost seamless. I mean, it just goes right into the whole design. And then your hook will come around and slide into one of these loops. Come on. Absolutely. Oh, it feels great. Looks great. Let's make this clasp really quickly. I got my 16 gauge out. I'm going to pull out, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches. Wipe it down. That looks like 3.5. Let's see what it is. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Look at it. Look at it. I'm telling you what. There's just some days are good days, and today is going to be a good day. So the one side is going to become, oh, let me get it out so you can see what I'm doing. The one side is going to become the loop and all the wraps. That's going to need the bulk of this wire. So maybe like 2/3, 1/3, 2/3, make a 90-degree bend. With your chain nose pliers or whatever, you can do it even with the bail pliers that we are now using. I want this to look pretty close to what that is. And if I went and chose the 9 millimeter, the little loop on this will end up being bigger than this. So I need to step down so that it matches a little better. So I'm going to use the 7 millimeter on my pliers. Kind of got this in this corner. I'm going to take this end. After I got it nice and level, I didn't have it level, and just wrap around. You see how it's making the loop that is going to attach. And speaking of attaching, once you get it right here, do not start your wraps. This is where you would attach. Give yourself a little gap in there and then slide on your link. So perfect. Ooh. And then you can just close that back down, and this is where we're going to make our wraps. Again, like I'm always saying, keep things level, keep things straight. I don't want them going at an angle, so I'm watching how I'm doing these bends and that they are straight. That's just my preference. If you like that little angle, then do the angle. I am not telling you what to do. My goodness. Ugh. Especially when it comes to creativity and art and different things like that. Ain't nobody telling me what to do. Possibly, I didn't leave myself enough wire. I'm just going to bring this around to that back side. And then we're going to trim. And then you, with your file or with those radial discs, you want to get that nice and smooth. But I just want to show you how to finish this off. One thing I want you to take note of how this works is that they lay flat, right? And so the loop on the end is positioned in this direction. So you have to do the hook on the end in a way so that it will come around and slide in there, and still everything will lay flat. So essentially the hook is going to be going in the same direction as this little loop is. Most of the time, I would say most of the time, I guess, the hook is going in, you know, it's going down, or if you want it sticking out of the whole loop. But this one is going to be going horizontally, just like this little loop. So it goes in to one of the links nice and easily. So I'm just grab the whole little bit of wraps that we just made, or bend back about a 45 degree there. Get your bail pliers. Now this is also your preference. You could go 5 or 4 millimeter on this, just so that you have a nice little hook that will come around. I'm checking that I'm level. I'm just going to press around this bail, turn my pliers, bring it down. So now we have this. Okay, so you see how it'll come along the wraps and then the loop bumps out? I've kind of just been mimicking that angle. So right in here, little bend. I'll bring it in so it's kind of blocking off that path. I definitely need to trim this. I think it needs to come out just a little bit more. Yeah, there you go. And then just tuck it in so it's blocking off that path. So when you come around, it won't be so easy to come out or anything like that. You're not going to lose what you spent so much time making. So that's the gist for this sweet little clasp that is going to blend in right with all your jump rings. If you choose to do that, you're going to have to do something to connect those because they don't go together. You know what I'm saying? They don't have open loops. You can't do wire wrapped loops on them to connect them or anything like that. So you're going to have to do jump rings or some type of other connector to bring them together. So, but I think the jump rings work well. It's a nice, clean, classy look, and then it matches. And then it matches when you go to do the loop for the hook clasp. Just really simple, classy, and I love it. I don't know what it is with the wires when they're lined up next to each other. It's just I don't know. I just love the look. Maybe like pinstripes on a suit or basket weave. There's something calming when things are just lined up nicely, right? Well, I hope you get a chance to get some bamboo skewers if you don't already have them. Get your clamp out and just some minimal tools here and make this wonderful link. My goodness, do I love to look at that. I'm so excited to wear this. Of course, I got these already. I love this one from a previous tutorial. It's like a chainmail thing. This one I haven't done anything on because I was just messing around with a piece of 10 gauge wire and I just hammered it out for like a bangle. Love in that. And you know I love my rings. I have a tutorial on these as well that you can make some rings to match your bracelet if you would like. As always, thank you for watching all the way to the end. Thanks for subscribing and liking, and most importantly, your comments. I love interacting with you. I read and respond to every single one, and I'd love to see you on the community tab. If you are on mobile, on my channel page, it'll say visit community. Now, why this is, I don't know, but if you're on like TV or desktop, it doesn't have that. It's just gone, poof. So you have to go to where it says posts, and it will be the same thing. Why it's different, I don't know. I wish they would work things out, but so you can post your pieces that you make only for subscribers. So I'd love to see you there and hang out and see what you're working on. Well, it's been a great Tutorial Tuesday. What are you going to make this week? Show me, post it, and I look forward to being here with you next Tuesday to make something beautiful. That is it. That's it. That's it. No idea. Well, oh my goodness. That sucked. Ain't nothing like ruining it right at the last moment. I don't know how to explain it. Which one did I use? I can never remember. The 4mm or the 5mm? I don't know what I'm saying.